Alright, 1997. What happened in 1997? Harry Potter came to America. His first book is called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone over here, but everywhere else it was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Titanic hit. Hong Kong was given back to China after Great Britain, their contract was up. Bird flu. Simpsons broke a record as being the longest going animated series in prime time. Tiger Woods became a household name. And, I'm pretty sure that was the year that Tyson bit an ear off. Somebody else's, not his own. And this is also the time that DC and Marvel came out with their second crossover series and Amalgam comics, if you will. And I got previous videos. This is the second in the series, well, the third in the series, because in this one, the other two series, I did the first miniseries, I did the first wave, and this one I'm just going to do the second series and the second wave of Amalgam comics. All right, and we'll just kind of jump on in there. All right. Now, what was first of all, the second series that came out was 4 issues. And I think this kind of started around December of 96, November, I don't know. But it ended up leading into 97, but it was bi-weekly. So these books came out all within 2 months. It's 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And this is much better than the first DC versus Marvel. Number one, it didn't feel like a pissing contest between DC and Marvel. It just felt like the story could breathe more. Nobody was really worried about, their characters looking bad, with their competition. I mean, that's as a reader, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. Second of all, Ron Mars had come on, and where Peter David wrote the first one, Ron Mars came on to do the second one, and in my opinion, they had a better artist, Jackson Butch Geis. I really liked his style on this and stuff. But basically what happened was it was allowed to be a story. There was no votes this time. They didn't let the readers vote on who would win. It kind of was just a better framed and structured story. Still not a masterpiece. It's just the kind of thing you read for the fun of it. Check your brain at the door. Have fun with it. You're seeing DC and Marvel characters interacting with villains from DC and Marvel. And DC put out 2, and Marvel put out 2. That's how they did these things. And basically what happens is Access here, his name is Axel, starts out with him being in an alleyway in the city, and he's in between 2 buildings. And this is where you find like there's a writer in there really trying to bring some, technique into the writing with this, because he basically says, yes, I'm in an alleyway, and it's like seems like I'm always in between 2 buildings, 2 worlds. And he's talking about DC being a building, Marvel being a building, and he has shards of both of them in there, and he's trying to like balance his girlfriend, and things are balanced. He just acts like there's so much pressure here, and it gives you a big recap of DC and Marvel. And we have a few things happening where this is just kind of foreshadowing that this is starting again, and he doesn't know why it starts again. But Venom pops up, ends up fighting Superman, and then Spider-Man pops up, and he goes to Star Labs and gets the way to save the day, and all kinds of little things like that. And Axel is just kind of like, the mystery is how is this happening? He's the guardian between the 2 universes. He has shards of both of them. And that's what he keeps pointing out. This is just, exposition, gives us our 2 big guys. And it was much better because if I'm remembering right, by this time I think Peter Parker had come back. Don't take my word on it. I haven't read this in a while. In the previous DC versus Marvel, that was kind of my problem. We didn't really have like Peter Parker. We had Ben Reilly. It wasn't the characters that we knew about, But anyway, just a better attempt and everything. And by the second issue, you gotta believe in coincidences, because that's how everything in this, to keep the story moving, there's all kinds of coincidences. When Axel is out on a date with his girlfriend, and they're riding in a little carriage through Central Park. My God, Generation X just happens to be there, and Jubilee runs up, and it's like, it's you, and he's like, yes, it's me, and she's like begging to like, let me go see Robin. They had a little thing going on in the previous series, and For love, he does it. As much danger as there could be. You know, what's so harmless about sending her over for a while, and that just leads to a big mess, and the mystery is going on. Why are these characters really now starting again to pop back and forth in the wrong universes? And I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I'll give you a big hint. It has to do with the window of Doctor Strange. And you have Batman and Doctor Strange pop up. Some pretty good crossovers. Ron Mars keeps it going. And just when you compare it to DC versus Marvel, just a more satisfying read. More amalgamations going on. Everything kind of goes in there. And we have the Grant Morrison Justice League against the 90s X-Men there. It's a big pop-on and stuff, right? And you find out that things are going on, and I will tell you the Amalgam universe gets to live. But it's really kind of, it wasn't bad, when they did the big reveal, it actually kind of like got me, like, oh, I didn't see that coming, that's what's going on. So it was kind of hokey, kind of cool. We got to believe in a lot of coincidences. So the second wave of Amalgam comics came out, and as you would know, my computer is trying to turn off on me. So 6 of them came out. I think these replaced 1 week of DC's printing and Marvel's printing, and they just kind of put everything on hold and got their books out. And there was, DC did 6, Marvel did 6, and some of these were really hit and miss. But I went through and I flipped through them for this video before this, and I can't really complain. There's 1 or 2 where I was completely lost, but I see what they were doing. It's kind of cool. The first one I want to get out of the way, and these are the DC books, is Generation Hex. Peter Milligan, Adam Polina, okay? And, they take the concept of the mutants, who are called the Malforms in this, and it's all about prejudice, and you got a town called Humanity, and it takes on the mutants things, but they take Generation X and some other mutants, and from Generation X is a mutant book from the 90s. Just got to go back and look at it. And they mix them with a lot of Western heroes from Marvel and DC, going back to the Golden Age, Silver Age, and stuff. So the ones I recognized were like you have Jonah Hex, that was the big one, and this one fights prejudice and stuff. And I don't know if it was Adam Polina's style of art at the time or not, but everybody's kind of stretched and thin in it. I mean, they even have like these steampunk kind of robots that look like Scud the Assassin, if you know what that is. But anyway, everything's kind of stretched, and I wonder if they were going for that spaghetti Western Italian style where you would watch it at the drive-in and everybody's just kind of stretched out, and also where they push a movie together that's widescreen to put it on TV, so you can get everything. And then they started tapping a lot of Steve Gerber during this time. This is Bat Thing, and Bat Thing, this was by Larry Hama, and Larry Hama had a hit of a book during the first one, and it was Dark Claw, where he mixed Wolverine and Batman, Logan and Batman. But anyway, he came out with the Bat Thing, and this had a different tone and stuff, but he mixed up Man Thing and Man Bat and Man Thing, and actually came up with something pretty cool in this. The art is pretty good. It really surprised me. About the second or third time I read it, I kind of got it, okay? Because these are books you can go back and read over, because they've done things where they mix cities from DC and Marvel. They mix crossover events where they have something like the Secret Crisis of the Infinity Hour, where they mixed all, you can dissect those. Secret Wars Crisis, 0 Hour, Infinity Gauntlet. They reference that. They even have letter pages where they have mixed names and stuff of cities in the real world of people writing into these books. So everything, it's really like it's its own universe, and it has its own audience in that universe. So, you can kind of take them apart, and some things start making sense. Then, this one I was kind of skeptical about, because I'm not really big on Ty Templeton, even though I have no problem with what he does. But they came out with this Dark Claw Adventures. So instead of doing Dark Claw series like they did last time, they did the cartoon series that had hit in the 90s. The Bruce Timm universe and stuff, and they came in there. But what was really cool about this is that they mixed Lady Talia and Lady Deathstrike. Talia was Ra's al Ghul's daughter. I hope I'm getting this right. And they're going after Dark Claw because especially Ra's al Ghul and Apocalypse mixed. Apocalypse has died, and she's coming after Dark Claw to avenge his death. But it's really cool because they kind of tap into that Neil Adams era there with Ra's al Ghul and stuff, and it kind of had that feel to it, even though it was done in Dark Claw Special. Now, one of the ones I really loved where they mixed up a lot of good things, like the Howling Commandos and Sergeant Rock and the Golden Age heroes and the like the Invaders and the Justice Society and all this stuff like that. It all came out in Super Soldier Man of War. Okay, this is Dave Gibbons and Mark Waid coming together, but Dave Gibbons is the one that actually plotted most of this, and Mark Waid came in and scripted it, and Dave Gibbons also did the art, and this was just a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun. I mean, after you see Sergeant Rock and the Howling Commandos and stuff, but this was a sequel from, this was a sequel more or less, return of the character from the first Amalgam comics, and this is just wonderful, wonderful. And of course, they get the name Super Soldier from the fact that that was the name of the formula that made Captain America, and also the fact that they tied in with Superman's origin. You'll just have to read it. I don't want to. That's part of the fun, is putting this stuff together. All right, and the last two from DC is, like I said, they turned around and they really tapped into some Steve Gerber here, but they mixed Lobo and Howard the Duck, and I really had to come around to this one, and it's all right. It's all right. It's a murder mystery, and they bring in like some silly characters and mix them up, like Ambush Bug and some, I don't know, he's called the Lunatic or something, but they take some sillier, more obscure characters, and you also have to know your Howard the Duck characters and stuff. You can see this is one of those books where it's kind of painful to talk about because it's not bad, but basically all the major heroes are dying. Spider-Boy, Doctor Strange-Fate, Dark Claw, and Lobo the Duck is going to find out who has killed him because he was paid before they all died to find out. It's like a mystery. And he ends up, it goes epic. He ends up finding out like it's the end of the world before he can stop it. And then this one is a return, and what's cool about this one is time has passed. That's what's kind of cool about this one. The last JLX that came out was by Mark Waid and Howard Porter and stuff, and it was excellent. And they turned around, and it's like things have gone. They took Fing Fang Foom and mixed them with Brimstone. I want to say this is the one that Roger Stern came on with another writer, and they mixed their names up, but I could be wrong. No, Christopher Priest did this one. Excuse me. Oscar Jimenez. Anyway. So to get on here, and it's just like the mutants meets the JLX, and it's got that, the world take the mutants, and Fing Fang, what did they call him? Fing Fang Foom and the Brimstone amalgamation here is here to wipe out all of humanity because they all carry the mutant gene and stuff, and it catches on. And Amazon, they've returned Amazon back, and she's joined the JLX, so, it's like time has gone by since the last Amalgam books. Then you have the Marvel books. I'm sitting here drawing blanks while I do this. I apologize, right? But you have Magnetic Men and man, what's with my computer? They're trying to kill us. Stop. All right. Now, what's cool about Magneto, the Magnetic Men featuring Magneto, it takes like Dr. Magnus and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and the Metal Men and a few other character stuff, and it mixes them up. But they play with the metal men in this because they take all the fictional metals that's in the Marvel Universe, like vibranium and adamantium, the Hawkman's nth metal that allows him to float and fly, and they put them all in here, and that's what the metal men are made out of. And they even have like Sinister Society in here, and just all kinds of great characters. They get a little. They're not getting obscure. It's just you got to do a little bit more digging to get in there to do what you want to do. Then you have the X Patrol, and X Patrol. I think this is the issue by Barbara Castle that was Mark Greenwald had died the year before, and she turned around and dedicated this issue to him. And this was just really good. It's got some early Brian Hitch art. That's Brother Blood and the Brood of the X-Men kind of mixed up there. Just a really, got in there and just mixed all kinds of characters up, from the Teen Titans and the Doom Patrol and the X-Men again, and the Legion of Superheroes a little bit, and just, went all out, man. That's what I mean. This one they just packed it in. And speaking of Barbara Castle, this is by her husband, Carl Castle, and this is Challenger the Fantastic, and they had, in the first wave of Amalgam books, they had they had a cameo in Spider-Boy, and now they get their own book, and this is just, they mix Brainiac and Galactus, and if you love Kirby, this is the one to get, man, because they mix all kinds of Kirby stuff and all kinds of Silver Age stuff. They just had a blast with this one. Holy cow, man. Alright, so these are two great. And speaking of Spider-Boy, here's Spider-Boy. Now, I have Fred Hembeck on Facebook, and every now and then he sells these, he auctioned off these one-of-a-kind cards that he does. And I have a Space Ghost one by him, and he'll put them on there. And he put up like an original a draft of what Spider-Man would have looked like, and it was a lot like this. It had a gun instead of web shooters and stuff, you know, and I was like, holy cow. And that made Spider-Boy all cool. And Spider-Boy was done by Carl Kessel in the first wave, and he comes back, and now this is Spider-Boy team up, and man, this is good. This is so good. It plays with time, and we get reboots of the Galactic Legion of 2099. We see several versions of all these, of the Legion of Superheroes and the Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, through several arcs of this story. Ladron does a style where it's like Kirby figures with anime manga backgrounds and stuff. I mean, it's really fascinating to look at. And they do roll calls, so you know who everybody is. It's just chock full of characters. I mean, this one's good, right? And the last two I think are the two best of all the series, I think. You know, that's my opinion. And one I just kind of looked at, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And forgive me for ever doubting Kurt Busiek, and Paul Smith came on, but Iron Lantern. They mixed the worlds of Green Lantern and Iron Man in a way that I was like, this makes perfect sense. I couldn't see it. They take like Hector Hammond, who has like a huge head, and MODOK, and mix them up, you know, and it's just, and it works so well. There he is, you know. Everything about this book is so good. I mean, this is one of the ones where, like, when it ended, you were like, no, I want to see more. But it covers an origin, and it mixes up the characters. And this is the one I never would have thought of putting these two guys together. Number one, Green Lantern is supposed to have a weakness to yellow. This was still in effect back then. And, you know, Iron Man has the yellow in his costume, but it's an amalgam issue. And it's just so good. Those characters, the rogues gallery of Iron Man and Green Lantern fits so well when they're amalgamated. This is the one that felt the most organic and the most fluid, and like it could just go on. This felt real, you know, not real world, but like it could have been a real comic. And then the most underrated one that everybody should at least track down, whether you like John Romita Jr. or Keith Giffen or not, is where we mix, we get the new gods and the old gods of Kirby and Thor and stuff, and they just finally mixed in it, and this huge, they bring in the sword. It's just an epic story. I mean, this, when we're reading this, seeing John Romita Jr. do some big epic sci-fi, you know, story with these, you know, he needs to be doing more. I mean, I know he's on Superman at the current time, but he likes doing street level. He likes doing the street level Spider-Man and Daredevil heroes and stuff like that. But this is just epic, man. It brings in the new gods, mixes Orion with Thor. I mean, it's just, you just got to read this, man. I mean, if you are a Kirby nut, this is the one. It mixes the Celestials, the Source Wall, Ragnarok. Everything is going on in this, man. But it's just genius, you know, just genius. This one was really good. All right, so I am going to go ahead and call it a day there. And there we are. And I tell you what, I'll have one more video up in a few weeks because it's just a 4-issue series that's left over. There was no books that came out with it, just the series, no more amalgam. And, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll have some fun with that.